Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win in a fight? Nova Prime or Superboy Prime? Nova Prime carries the power of the Nova Force, an infinite source of energy from Xandar. From an ordinary high school student, he became a cosmic warrior with faster-than-light flight, tremendous physical strength, and the ability to absorb and control energy. In his Nova Prime form, Richard can create energy shields, release attacks with the destructive force of an entire fleet, and even withstand meteor impacts. He is not only a warrior, but also a leader who once commanded the Nova Corps against countless cosmic threats. Superboy Prime, the Clark Kent from Earth Prime, is an almost perfect Kryptonian. When absorbing sunlight, he gains power far beyond most other Kryptonians. He can destroy planets, move faster than light, and is nearly immune to damage. Superboy Prime once forced the entire Justice League to join forces just to restrain him, and even then it was not easy to stop him. When these two warriors face each other, Nova Prime brings strategy and overwhelming energy firepower, while Superboy Prime dominates with raw power and unbelievable speed. A battle between them would look like two stars colliding, blazing and devastating. Before we dive into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by tapping the bell icon. Thank you all so much. Nova Prime is the prestigious title Richard Rider earned when he absorbed the full Nova Force. This ultimate cosmic power used to be distributed among the Nova Corps. When that force weakened, nearly all of its power concentrated into him alone, turning Richard Rider into a living pillar of cosmic strength. At that moment, he carried so much energy that he could face Zenith, who is considered Marvel's version of a female Kryptonian. Zenith is not only related to Gladiator, but also has physical power comparable to him, a warrior who once stopped Silver Surfer before being defeated in a fateful battle. And Gladiator fought Hyperion without falling behind, and there was even a moment when he single-handedly wiped out the entire Black Order while under mind control. His brutality became even clearer when he repeated that feat a second time, while the Avengers in the same situation struggled against the same enemy. Hulk was pinned down, Captain Marvel and Captain America were exhausted, and Hyperion was almost completely burned out. Nova Prime stood tall like a blue flame sweeping through the night. He fought as if carrying the will of all the fallen Nova warriors. Each punch not just force, but the roar of the stars, explosive and full of fury. Silver Surfer was once enhanced during the Annihilation event, strong enough to face Annihilus and two beings equal to Galactus, Tenebris and Aegis. But what made Richard Rider stand out was not only his raw power, but his determination to resist the darkness closing in. He was like a star refusing to fade in the cold, endless universe. Fallen One was once considered one of the most fearsome heralds Galactus ever created, a name that even ancient beings treated with caution. But the power of Galactus has never been measured solely by his followers. In the terrifying ambush executed by Tenebris and Aegis, these two elder gods attacked Galactus and Silver Surfer while they were fully prepared for battle. Galactus had consumed an immense amount of energy to ready himself, yet he was still brought down. That alone reveals the level of his attackers, because defeating a fully fed Galactus requires power far beyond the mythical level. Even the elders of the universe, including Grandmaster and Collector, beings who bend universal laws for fun, still fear Galactus. Once he takes action, reality can tremble and entire civilizations can vanish like dust. Even a group of Celestials, beings who helped shape the multiverse, could not defeat him when he was fully fed. Only when they fused into one gigantic Celestial were they able to create some balance. The Silver Surfer defeated both of them alone in a cosmic scale battle, shocking Galactus with the level of power he reached. This version of the Surfer once crushed Beta Ray Bill like a storm sweeping across a desert, leaving no chance to fight back. And that was the same Silver Surfer that Nova Prime had to face. Even while being overwhelmed, Nova did not unleash his full power because he still saw the Surfer as an ally. He only defended, absorbed the blows, and made sure the fight did not turn into a catastrophe. When Richard Rider finally chose to counterattack, the battle shifted instantly. Nova Prime was no longer only defending, but was ready to answer every strike from Silver Surfer, and the astonishing part was that he could fight on equal footing. The most perfect version of Nova Prime was when he became the last surviving warrior of the Nova Corps, carrying the entire Nova Force. It was a power capable of lifting an entire civilization or burning it down in a single moment. Yet the paradox was that Richard never truly used that full full power. The Xandarian world mind always had to limit his energy to keep him mentally stable, because if the Nova Force was released without restraint, his mind could collapse like a planet torn apart inside a black hole. When Nova Prime was in a stable, controlled state, his power was equal to Gladiator, Hyperion, Beta Ray Bill, Quasar, Thor, and Silver Surfer. In a serious confrontation, Richard was capable of defeating most of those warriors except Silver Surfer and Thor under equal conditions. When the Nova Force was shared with other members, his energy level decreased, but his physical strength was still enough to let him compete with Zenith, Gladiator's cousin, only slightly weaker than her. Richard Rider with the full unrestrained Nova Force was considered second only to Galactus. If he ever let go of all restrictions, that power could become a storm of energy capable of sweeping away the stars. Magneto was completely defeated in this battle. His electromagnetic control was impressive, but the Nova Force is one of the primordial energies of the universe. It was similar to Captain Marvel trying to fight Silver Surfer. Richard's mastery of electromagnetic fields was even better, even though it was not his main form of combat. That is Nova Prime, a warrior who always has to stop himself from exploding outward, and if he ever allowed his power to rise without control, the universe itself might tremble from his light. He also has many other abilities that make me believe he could defeat some of the characters I listed. Along with his superhuman physical stats like speed, strength, and durability, he can manipulate gravity, absorb energy, emit energy from many parts of his body, open stargates, which are instant teleportation portals or wormholes, and his helmet contains a psychic dampener that completely nullifies the enhanced abilities of Strontians and leaves them vulnerable. Nova Prime is one of the most powerful cosmic characters in Marvel, surpassing figures like Hyperion and Gladiator, and standing on the same level as beings like Silver Surfer. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Superboy Prime is often mentioned as the embodiment of the greatest power among all versions of Superman. Excluding Superman 1,000,000, almost no one can match his raw strength and instinctive combat ability. In many large-scale battles, he single-handedly wiped out entire teams of superheroes, taking down Power Girl and Martian Manhunter with almost no effort. Even the Lantern Corps, despite their legendary willpower, became insignificant before him. More terrifying, Superboy Prime once fought two versions of Superman at the same time and still maintained complete dominance, like an unstoppable storm of steel. What makes him truly different is his invulnerability. Kryptonite is useless against him, and the classic weaknesses of Superman cannot affect that body. He has even injured Batman, a man known for always having a plan for every situation. Every step he takes feels like the balance of the world bends. Every punch is the sound of thunder splitting the sky. His punches do not just tear through matter, they can even affect the storyline itself, rewriting what was meant to be. Even so, he is not all-powerful. Luthor once enhanced his strength, and it still took Prime hours to break through that containment. When his eyes glow red and his fury erupts like a supernova, people understand that this is not just a lost Superman. This is a destruction engine in the shape of youth, a force with no stopping point when its faith has been shattered. He is Superboy Prime, the storm that reality can only endure but never stop. Superboy Prime once faced the JSA, the Teen Titans, and the Doom Patrol all at once, turning these mighty teams into small waves crushed inside his steel storm. And one of the most unforgettable moments was when he confronted the Darkest Night, a force beyond godlike boundaries. Even though that battle was part of the Dark One's plan, the fact that Superboy Prime could still injure him speaks volumes. Even in what is considered his weakest state, Superboy Prime still surpassed God Brainiac, and during his first clash with Connor, his strength was placed on the same level as the entire Justice League combined. When fighting Kid Flash, he was compared to Superman and still exceeded him. He took blows from Black Adam and then defeated that powerful warrior with a single strike. In the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, when Amazo possessed the abilities of the entire Justice League, along with Silver, Banshee, Gorilla Grodd, and many other top-tier threats working together to restrain him, they were still like people trying to hold down a mountain with thin ropes. Superboy Prime not only broke free, he tore off Amazo's head, a head that contained the powers of legendary hero. He is not defined by limitations, but by moments that make the entire universe pause, watching him like a growing storm eye swallowing all hope. While Wonder Woman weakened, then grew stronger, Martian Manhunter, Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and a team of heroes stood against him. Superman of the Golden Age was once seen as a being whose power surpassed even Superboy Prime, but then, in his most glorious moments, he unleashed punches so powerful that the barriers of reality cracked, stars shattered like glass, and the entire multiverse rumbled like roaring thunder. On the opposite side of space, the Green Lantern Corps spread across the antimatter universe still felt the shockwaves from those strikes. Even while weakened, he still had enough strength to throw an entire moon at the barrier of reality without hesitation. When Alexander Luthor's energy tower exploded right in front of him, Superman of the Golden Age stood firm, completely unaffected. This tower stores the creative energy used to reconstruct countless universes, keeping the multiverse running. Yet he still stood firm, like the last pillar holding back a tidal wave of destruction. Superboy Prime later absorbed energy from the Guardian, reaching a level of power beyond the limits of normal three-dimensional existence. He shattered the Source Wall, tore open the fifth dimension with his heat vision, then destroyed Earth 51 and drowned everything in a devastating explosion that he still survived. Prime even broke Monarch's armor, a being above all multiversal versions of Superman, created by merging 51 different versions of Captain Atom. Despite the close-range blast wiping out space like a storm of annihilation, Prime remained alive even if he was knocked down for a moment. The simple fact that he could stand up again proves he had reached a level equal to Monarch, even though Monarch had easily overpowered Prime before, when Prime had not yet unlocked the full power of the Guardian. Prime is not just a Kryptonian warrior, he is a blade that cuts across the laws of existence. A single glance from him is enough to make space tremble, and every step is a warning to reality that it could be bent at any moment. Prime stopped Sodom Yat, who possessed the power of Ion, and later defeated Sodom when he had the power of Ion, the central power battery, and all the rings of the Green Lantern Corps, 7,200 rings, along with Bart Allen, Mon-El, and many other heroes. Superboy Prime has created moments where the very mention of them makes all power limits in DC feel small. When the Corps was down to about 1/5 of its power, they still managed to fly through the singularity of Darkseid that was consuming the DC map along with countless timelines, yet Prime could still tear through everything. When facing Connor Kent directly, Prime's strength became even more clear. Although Connor could not match him, Connor was once strong enough to stop Darkseid at his peak when he had become the ruler of Apocalypse, the antimatter universe, a vast realm equal to the Source Wall, and the entire DC map was destroyed by the entropy wave. Even though Prime was swept away afterward, he was still powerful enough to stop the collapse of the antimatter universe and the main timeline through sheer strength alone. Prime is not only a Kryptonian warrior far beyond the standard, he is a great flood. He often overwhelms entire superhero teams and can even blow apart a universe with a single punch. Every movement he makes is like a warning bell, reminding that if he loses control, the layers of space and time will shake like glass beneath a sledgehammer. Superboy Prime once declared that no one in the entire multiverse deserved more than him to be the symbol of power, a claim that made even the greatest heroes tremble before his overwhelming might. Facing him, Nova Prime was the first to take on the responsibility of protecting the fragile balance between worlds. Their battle was not driven by personal hatred, but by ideals. One side wanted to prove himself and affirm absolute power, while the other fought to protect the survival of civilizations that were shaking under the pressure of the cosmos. When the blue Nova Force clashed with the blazing red Kryptonian aura, the surrounding layers of space trembled, sending shock waves that tore through the sky and the galaxy. Superboy Prime held the clear advantage in speed. His punches could tilt the orbit of a planet and threaten every nearby world. Nova Prime responded with energy drawn from the world mind, analyzing every movement, blocking and slowing each strike using the collective intelligence of billions of minds stored within him. But the more Superboy Prime fought, the more he dominated. His physical power went far beyond anything a normal Nova could withstand. Nova Prime was forced to activate the full Nova Force, turning himself into a living collective intellect, simulating strategies to counter a destroyer of realities. Their battle dragged on across multiple star systems, and each collision ignited millions of stars, lighting up the entire galaxy. Despite his refined tactics, superior intellect, and immense energy, Nova Prime still had to face the nearly limitless strength of Superboy Prime. Prime could tear through dimensions with sheer force, and the longer he fought, the more vicious and uncontrollable he became. After a battle pushed to its absolute limits, Nova Prime began to weaken as the Nova Force was slowly drained, while Superboy Prime continued to increase in speed, pressure, and destruction like an unstoppable cosmic storm. Prime hurled Nova onto a desolate nearby planet with such force that the impact carved out a massive crater, leaving Nova unconscious and his bones shattered. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That is the video for today. Thank you very much.